officials from both the U.S. and China meeting in London right now to defuse some of the tension caused by President Trump's tariffs. The two sides hope to repair a fragile truce negotiated last month in Geneva. So that deal led to a major rollback in tariffs for 90 days, but then quickly took a turn after China refused to give up its control over rare earth minerals. President Trump held a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping Thursday and then went to social media to report what he calls a very positive conclusion for both countries. Kevin Hassett is the director of the National Economic Council and expanded on that during an interview with CNBC this morning. Take a listen.
And so really the purpose of the meeting today is to make sure that they're serious, but to literally get handshakes from Scott and Howard and Jameson, our three lead trade negotiators, and get this thing behind us.
Could you expect this to bear fruit? You're not expecting?
Yes, I expect it to be a short meeting with a big, strong handshake, and we'll see. But that's what we're expecting. Our expectation is that after the handshake, then immediately after the handshake, any export controls from the U.S. will be eased, and the rare earths will be released in volume, and then we can go back to negotiating smaller matters.
All right, so let's have a deeper conversation, bringing in Akin Oyedele for more on this. He's the deputy editor of newsletters at Business Insider. So remind us of the sticking points between the two countries and why China is hesitant to give up these minerals that are in the headlines today.
Thanks for having me. So the minerals really are the sticking point, or at least one of them. China controls the world's supply and export of vast array of what are called rare earth minerals, and the U.S. needs this for a whole range of industries, including defense and things like electric vehicle batteries. And so it's very important to the U.S. that these can move around the world and move to the U.S. Freely without any restrictions. And on the other hand, you've seen China sort of accuse the U.S. of, backtracking on sort of a good faith posture by restricting, putting new restrictions on student visas, for example. So ever since we entered this 90-day period, we've seen both sides come out and say that the other is not exactly acting in good faith. On one hand, the U.S. sees these restrictions on rare earth minerals as problematic, and then China, on the other, is saying that we want our students to be able to travel and come study without any special restrictions on us as a country.
So, Akin, we often hear President Donald Trump, when he talks to world leaders, sort of say things like, "You don't have the cards." He famously said that to the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. So we do know he looks at these situations like who holds what cards, what it means for China, what China wants out of it, what it means for the United States, what cards the United States holds. What are the stakes here, or what are the cards here for both nations?
So you're absolutely right. This is, again, I think another way to think of it is it's all about leverage and who has the leverage and who has the upper hand. What's at stake for the U.S.? Again, it's these rare earth minerals and the fact that China is the world's number 2 economy in the world, and so it's a huge market for the U.S. and vice versa. China needs the U.S. buying a lot of its products and goods and services. And speaking of leverage, we are seeing the Chinese economy begin to slow as a result of these tariffs. Exports are now at the slowest pace that they have been since February 2020, which, if that rings a bell, it's when the pandemic started. And meanwhile, the U.S. economy is still holding up pretty well. So that's something that obviously both sides are seeing, and who knows how long the U.S. economy will continue to hold up. But at least in that sense, we're seeing China lose some leverage. But then again, we need electric vehicle batteries, we need lithium, we need things that keep our defense industry in top shape. And so those are just some of the things that both sides have in terms of leverage.
Is there any particular reason why these talks are being held in the UK, and what are the international implications here?
That's a great question. Well, typically, or at least sometimes, these talks will be held in what's considered a neutral ground where, it's not like one side's coming to the other side's home turf. So that's part of it. We've seen, for example, President Trump and North Korea's leader meet in a third location, as it were. So, perhaps the UK is significant in the sense that the US struck what they call the framework of a deal in the UK a couple of weeks ago. And so perhaps that's also a way to remind the world that there is some progress on trade as far as the White House is concerned. But I think it's really just about a third location where neutrality can be projected.
Well, and on the scoreboard, we know a deal has been made there, and we are still waiting positive scores for other tariff deals with other nations. Akin, always great to talk to you. I hope I get to talk to you soon again on CBS News 24/7. You have a great day.